your connections and your friends are almost always the ways into these things. And a buddy of mine is a studio operator, great drummer, great producer, great engineer. His name is Luke Adams. He's a drummer in town, and he had done a tour with Chris. Chris's music, if people haven't heard it, is definitely not like the Foo Fighters. It's like he's California born, and a huge fan of country and Americana music, and so his music is very much in line with that, his solo music. And so Luke had been playing with him, and he was getting a little too busy at his studio to go out and do the next tour. So he called me and said, "Are you into doing this?" And of course, I said yes, very much so. And then I met, I kind of had a phone conversation with Chris, and then learned a bunch of music and showed up. It was kind of like not really an audition, but sort of an audition. Like there's that thing where when you get recommended, even though it's not like a bunch of people coming in the room and playing, it's like you're still a bit on the hot seat, because it's like if they don't like me, then now's the time to make the change, right? So, but he liked me, luckily, and we like got along and had a good conversation and played some music, and then he just asked me if I wanted to go on tour, and so we did a fair amount of touring over. It was mainly through one year, like it was 2019 where we did most of it, and it was like a bunch of dates in the US, supporting a band called Blackberry Smoke, who are like a really big Americana, kind of like Allman Brothers type band. Some solo gigs, and then we went over to Europe and the UK and did a bunch of dates over there as well. And it was like a really great experience, because Chris is such a strong guitar player, such a really, it just, um, it's like one thing I figured out a long time ago was I want to be around people who do these things on a certain level, because what happens is you absorb some of that, like just by being around them, by playing with them. And so I always feel like when I played with Chris, there was a certain thing that I connected with him on, in terms of like just strength and power. And even though I wasn't playing super loud with him, like I wasn't playing like Taylor does or something, he wanted somebody that had, say, a different kind of touch, which is exactly fit perfectly with me. Like I play a certain volume, but I'm not a basher or something like that. And not that Taylor was, he had a touch as well, but like it's just a different kind of thing. And Chris just kind of like, I learned so much about just being in the moment playing with him, because he wanted everything to feel spontaneous. And even though we were, he didn't even call it rehearsal. He just called, let's get together and jam, because he comes from the band perspective. And I don't. I come from a freelancer perspective. I come from like being hired to work with people and learning their music and showing up and rehearsing and then going out and playing. And Chris was like, let's get together, let's jam, let's like hang out together, and then we'll go play some music. And I learned a lot about that side of things from him. And it was just a great experience. I loved playing with him. I hope I get to do more at some point.
So him referring to it as let's get together and jam. There's the jam in the van sessions. Can you
Yeah,
share what that is with our listeners?
yeah. Jam in the Van is really cool. It's I think it's still going on. It's like literally a giant van with a recording facility, for video and audio built into it, and a little like backline thing with like a drum set and an amp and a couple amps or whatever and microphones. And they park themselves somewhere. In our case, it was like downtown LA somewhere, like in the Arts District. And you show up and you go in and you set up behind this back line and you play like 3 or 4 songs, and they record it, and then they put it out on YouTube. And it's really like super well done. Like the audio's great and the video's great, and super fun, man. Super fun experience. And then you pile out and another band piles in, and they just do it all day. And so we did that. That was actually like the last thing I did with him before was doing some other Foo Fighter stuff, and I got busy, and then so we haven't played together since then. But man, that was a fun experience too, to kind of cap off what we'd already done. So